Hey friends, it's Bridgie from Bougie Texas Barbecue, and I read y'all's comments on my last tri-tip video. Y'all said cooking a tri-tip over an open fire is the best way to eat it, so that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to finish trimming down this tri-tip and I'm going to cook it on Oklahoma Joe's Firecraft Series barrel. I hope y'all are excited because I definitely am. I know Texans aren't supposed to cook tri-tip, but this Texas girl is definitely stubborn. I'm adding a binder, it's a preference. You absolutely don't need to add one if you don't want to. I'm using olive oil, but honestly, any binder of your choice will work. Now that my tri-tip is all lathered up, it's time to talk about seasonings. When it comes to seasonings, if you want to, you can keep it basic. Salt, pepper, garlic. Just make sure you put a good amount of seasoning because you might lose some during the cooking process. I recommend you patting your seasonings in versus rubbing them unless you want to rub them off. Now that I got some SPG on there, I'm actually going to hit it with the chimichurri rub. Tri-tip and chimichurri go together like peanut butter and jelly, so I know this rub is just going to enhance the flavor of the tri-tip. And I already have my Firecraft Barrel preheating with Oklahoma Joe's lump charcoal and hickory wood chips. That way when I'm done here, I can throw it straight on the grill. My tri-tip is officially ready to go, so let's talk about how we're going to cook it. I'm placing my tri-tip directly above the fire, but as far away from it as possible. I placed the thickest part of my tri-tip more towards the center of the grill. That's where I stacked majority of my charcoal, and that's where the heat is radiating from. Place the thinner part of the tri-tip more towards the edge where there's less charcoal and less heat. I want my tri-tip to cook evenly, and the fact that I can hold my hand over the radiating heat for more than a couple minutes just shows I'm exactly at where I should be when it comes to temperature. Now I'm just gonna let my tri-tip do its thing and wait till it hits 110 internal, but in the meantime we can talk about fire management. The hardest part of this cook was managing the fire. If you don't put enough charcoal, your meat's not cooking. Put too much charcoal, you might overcook your meat, not including other factors like the wind, for example. But to keep it at a comfortable temperature, I used 1 chimney of lump charcoal and about 3 handfuls of hickory wood chips. Still wanted my tri-tip to catch some smoke flavor, so I used a boulder wood. I did want to mention that I did flip my meat halfway through the indirect part of the cook to make sure that that tri-tip cooks evenly. And now it's just a waiting game until it reaches an internal temp of 110 degrees, which only took about 40 minutes. Now the fun part, it's time to crank up the heat. I loaded up my Firecraft barrel so I got up to a searing temperature. You want your tri-tip close enough to the fire so it can get a nice sear, but be mindful if it's too close to the fire, you risk the chance of overcharring. You want the fire to kiss the meat so you can get a beautiful bark. Flip it and sear it until it reaches an internal temp of 135 degrees. Once it reaches 135 internal, allow it to rest uncovered for about 10 to 20 minutes. In the meantime, let's prepare a chimichurri sauce. Add 1 cup of flat leaf parsley, 2 ounces of fresh oregano. You can also use dried oregano if you can't find fresh. 2 ounces of freshly minced garlic, or more if you're a garlic lover. Next, you're going to add chopped red onions, or you can also use shallots. I also chopped up 2 standard size Fresno chili peppers. I like it spicy, so I also added 1 tablespoon of chili flakes, salt and pepper for taste, and just a dash of that W sauce, 1 ounce of red wine vinegar, but honestly sometimes I just eyeball it, and half a cup of your preferred oil. I used olive oil. And now all you have to do is give it a good mix. Allow it to sit at room temperature for about 10 to 15 minutes before serving. By now our tri-tip should be done resting, so let's get into it. As I stated before on my last tri-tip video, there are 2 grain lines within a tri-tip. Tri-tip has a natural indentation within the meat that separates the grains. Use that indentation to guide you when it's time to cut your meat. As soon as I sliced into the meat, I knew it was perfect. Not only did the meat feel like butter as I sliced into it, I could tell this tri-tip was so juicy. It definitely did not disappoint. And I'm not wasting any time. I'm going to get straight into slicing. Now that the meat is separated, it's a little easier to find the grain line. As I stated before, use that as a guide when it comes to slicing into a tri-tip. The last thing you want is chewy meat. As you slice into it, the meat should just flop over to the side, almost like if it was a brisket. Now that pretty much covers how I cook the tri-tip over an open fire using Oklahoma Joe's Firecraft Barrel. Now let's talk about how you're going to eat your tri-tip. You can absolutely enjoy it straight with some chimichurri. But last time I checked, this is Bougie Barbecue with Bridgie, right? So I'm really not content with just tri-tip and chimichurri. Even though it's delicious, I'm gonna bougie it up. I'm gonna set this tri-tip to the side and I'm gonna show you my own little twist of how I'm gonna prepare my tri-tip for dinner. And to do that, I'm gonna finish slicing up the thinner part of the tri-tip to show that it got a perfect medium rare cook as well. And the sliced meat did a quote-unquote brisket flop just like the thicker part of the tri-tip, but I'm actually going to use the end piece. I'm going to dice it up into bite-sized pieces just to show y'all that it got a perfect cook as well. And I know some of y'all noticed those baked potatoes cooking with a tri-tip, so once I'm done wrapping this up, I'm going to go grab one of those baked potatoes and show you what we're eating for dinner. I'm going to carefully cut into my hot baked potato with 3 indentions. With heat-resistant gloves, I'm going to pop it right open. Next, you're going to add some salt and pepper along with some unsalted sweet cream butter. Make sure you mix it in thoroughly. Once all my butter is melted and mixed, I'm going to add a good amount of sour cream. Before we add any cheese, make sure the sour cream is mixed throughout the potato. You can add any cheese, but I decided to use some mozzarella. And now all you have to do is add your steak and chimichurri. Till next time guys, enjoy.